What's going on YouTube? This is Aaron here with Day 5 Aquatics. Just bringing you a video update of my 75-gallon Rainbowfish tank. It's been a long time. It's been like 3 months since I've done an update on this, well, on any of my tanks. Put out a new video last week of the 75-gallon sunfish tank, but it's been a couple months since you've seen this tank too. The reason for that being, I mean, other than just, summertime being busy for me, really not a lot's changed on this tank. I haven't really done anything specific to it other than, take out a few plants, add a few plants. The stock list has stayed pretty much the same. I had those other South American cichlids in here for a little bit just because they were getting beat up in the other tank, but I ended up selling all those off. I did add the giant Danios in from that tank. I'm not sure if I had done that yet in the last video or not, but the 5 giant Danios I had in that tank are in this one now. The only other thing that's really changed in this tank is just a few plants have been pulled out. I took out all the stem plants. You'll notice in the middle and the back, there's not any Bacopa or any Ludwigia back there. I took all that out. And then I just went ahead and put in a couple Crypt spiralis plants that weren't really getting enough light in the other tank that I had. So I took them out of that tank, put them in here. I put a couple green Crypt Wendettis in here, but you can't see them over the dwarf sedge. But other than that, I mean, the tank really hasn't changed much. It's kind of staying the way it is. Everything's growing, great in it. You'll notice right up here up front, right there, the Anubias nanji is seriously just exploding growth-wise. Just massive leaves on that thing. The Marble Queen Radican Sword in the back corner is starting to really come into its own as well. I mean, it's growing some really nice big old leaves in the back. The crypts that I have, actually all of the crypts that I have in this tank are just shooting off runners left and right. This big giant bronze crypt over in the left corner, I've got 8 or 9 at least runners from that. Not to mention the fact that I can break that main plant up into probably 6 or 7 other nice healthy plants. Nice healthy groupings. The Crypt undulata right in the middle is growing up really cool. I like how it's grown up through the driftwood. It gives it a really neat effect. And then over here on the right hand side, it was sold to me as Crypt lutea. I'm not sure if that's what it is. But this over here in the front right corner right here, that's doing really well. It's got a ton of runners. I don't know how high it's going to grow. I think that's about as high as it's going to go. And then behind that, I have another crypt that I thought was going to grow nice and high, but it's actually stayed fairly low. I think it's pronounced Ponditerafolia. I'm not sure if that's the correct pronunciation, but that's a crypt as well. A lot of crypts in here, just because I like how they grow. They do really well in a dirted tank. They're doing great in this tank, so I'm just really kind of a fan of crypts. Got the hydro in the back that's doing really well. Once I took out those South American cichlids, that stuff really looked a whole lot better. I think they were nibbling at it because it always looked kind of chewed up and just kind of beat up a little bit, and so I'm pretty sure they were picking at it, but it looks a whole lot better now. I spread it out to try and get it to cover all the way to the corner there in the back. And then also I moved the crinum. I had the crinum over here behind the Anubias nanji, and it kept getting sucked up into the filter intake. I mean, literally, like every single strand of it would get sucked up into the filter intake. And so I ended up moving it over in front of the Radican Sword. Of course, you can't see it. You can't tell it's there just because, it's so thin and narrow, and the Radican Sword and everything else is just growing up so well. But it's in there. It's doing good. The dwarf sedge, one thing I've noticed about dwarf sedge is, for the longest time at the beginning when you get it in there, it just looks kind of sparse. I mean, even if you overplant it, which I tried to. I mean, I bought a couple hundred pieces of dwarf sedge in the beginning to put in there. Even in the beginning though, it just kind of looked like it just hadn't taken hold yet. And then one day, without realizing it, you just turn around and realize that notice that all of a sudden it's taken over every spare inch of substrate that you've got. So that's what's happened now. I've got a ton of dwarf sage. I mean, it's just everywhere that there's not another plant, there's dwarf sage. I've pulled a bunch of it out of here just because, making room for other plants, and it's, out competing other plants. So the dwarf sage is, doing fantastic. Overall, everything's doing great. The fish are in great shape in this tank. I had been gone a couple weeks this summer. Came back, and a couple of my rosy barbs were kind of looking a little off color, and I was kind of worried I was going to lose some of those. I've already lost a couple, a long while back. I had 6 when I started out. I lost a couple back in January or February or whatever. So I've only got 4 now, and I thought I was going to lose a couple more of those, but they seem to be doing just fine. Their color's almost completely back from what it was. So I don't know what was going on with them, maybe just stressed. I don't know. I had someone come in once in the middle of the week while I was gone to feed them, and I figured it'd be better just to have them being fed once than, every single day someone overfeeding them. The rainbows, you can see for yourself, the rainbows are doing awesome. They're, growing quite nicely. The colors look great. The dark, the blue is coming in nice and dark, as well as the orange. Just everything looks good in this tank. I think I'm just gonna, well, I say that. I want to just leave this tank alone and just let it go like this. Just let it keep going like this, just to see how everything turns out, matures. I have a tendency to be ADD with my tanks, and if I let something sit for a long time, then I feel the need or the desire to change things up, and I don't really want to do that with this tank. I just love the way it looks. The patience really pays off with this setup right now. Just being patient with it, giving it time, not being not constantly messing with things, just letting things grow, has really done done a lot for this tank. Made this tank look really good. So anyways, that's all I've got for this video right now. Like I said, this tank's gonna look, if I can hold myself to it, this tank's gonna look pretty much the same for a while, just because I want to see how things grow out and how things turn out. So you probably won't see a whole lot of change in this tank anytime soon, but just thought I'd show it to you. I might get a close-up video going sometime, hopefully soon. I know I say that, and it's been a couple months since my last videos, but hopefully soon I can get some close-ups and stuff to let you see just exactly how good the fish are doing. Oh, one other thing, the blackbeard algae, it's still there, but it's not near as bad. I've been overdosing with Excel, not massively overdosing, but just a little bit more than the recommended dose. The plants are eating it up, so I'm not really harming the fish or anything like that, but doing a little bit more than what it recommends, so that I can beat back that blackbeard algae, and it's pretty well under control, so it's doing well. Anyways, thanks for watching. That's all I got for you right now, just to let you know how things are going with this tank. Yeah, have a great week, guys. Take care.